Every single teenager has to serve in the army, has to be trained to use a gun, even the women. And the Muslims have become so foolish that we don't seem to wake up, that we are forever spending millions in creating football teams and promise this, that and the other, and we can't even score one goal in the World Cup. What a waste of wealth. Waste of millions of riyal, millions of dollars, and you can't even score one goal. And then if you score one goal, they'll promise you or give you wealth for the rest of your life, because they know you're never going to score that one goal. So this shows that the Muslim is losing the vision of serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're not saying it's wrong to earn wealth or to build stadiums or do these things, but when the vision becomes that this is the only thing about your life, then this becomes haram. And when many of the ulama in certain areas of the world, when they spoke against the World Cup being taken place, these people were removed from giving khutbah anymore. They didn't say rebel against the government. They didn't say anything. All they said that there are people coming out in the streets and behaving like disbelievers. People are being so taken over by the World Cup, it becomes their life. Same thing that we find in our community as well. That this cricket and this World Cup, just a bat and a ball controls the masses of millions of people, that it becomes their life. And when the Pakistan loses and they smash their TV sets in anger, so why watch it in the first place and cause destruction upon your own self? وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. And that's why we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring out who are the believers and who are the disbelievers, who are the grateful and who are the ungrateful. أَفَنَجْعَلُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ كَالْمُجْرِمِينَ مَا لَكُمْ كَيْفَ تَحْكُمُونَ. When we make the criminals like the believers, do you really think that these people who are criminals on the face of this earth, that they will come together with people who are trying to be believers on this earth? مَا لَكُمْ كَيْفَ تَحْكُمُونَ. How is it that you are judging? How is it that you are judging? It's unfair that a person who remained a criminal throughout their life, that they will come on the day of judgment and be equal to the people who try to be believers or coming close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّ الْأَرْضَ لِلَّهِ يُورِثُهَا مَنْ يَشَاءُ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. That really this earth is given to whoever he wants from amongst his servants. وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. And the final end is for the believers. This earth only belongs to the believers. He may give it to these people for some certain amount of time, because that is وَتِلْكَ الْأَيَّامُ نُدَاوِلُهَا بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. That is the days that we alternate between you. That sometimes these people may be conquering, sometimes these people may be controlling things, but the final end is the conquering is always for the believers. That they'll always remain on top. If they don't remain on top visually, but in their heart we know that the final victory will be towards the believers. And that's why we find وَإِنَّ الدَّارَ الْآخِرَةَ لَهِيَ الْحَيَوَانِ لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. That the real home of the believer is the hereafter. The words of the eternal bliss, the abode, the final return, living eternally, that is Jannatul Firdaus. That is Al-Jannah when you return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why we find, as for the mu'min, that sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala وَأَمَّا الْمُؤْمِنْ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يَدَّخِرُ لَهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps his actions with him and will reward him حَسَنَاتِهِ فِي الْآخِرَةِ, and give him his good deeds in the akhirah. So that's why sometimes we can't seem to comprehend that no reward could be given. Sometimes reward is given in this dunya, but many times for many people it's been stored, and when they meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he will give it to them in the akhirah. And likewise in another place inside the Quran we find وَالدَّارُ الْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لِلَّذِينَ يَتَّقُونَ أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. That really the hereafter is better for you. That is better for you. That is your final home. أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. Don't you comprehend this? That forever this rat race of this dunya, chasing after this dunya. And we find in the hadith, whoever chases after the dunya, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put poverty in between his forehead. And whoever chases after the akhirah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make the dunya chase after him. This is the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That many times you find that some people, they don't do anything, but yet they're blessed with wealth after wealth is given to them. And some people work day and night, and they attain this great empire. And what comes after them? Their progeny, their children, they destroy everything that they have. Destroy it all in a day and night. Because there's no barakah in their blessing, no barakah in their earning. Whoever seeks haram should never ever think that they will attain the final goal. And as we know that for clearly as a fact, that the end does not justify the means. That the way that you earn your living, you can't say that at the end I give some of it to the masjid, or I give it to charity. This is not justified. Inna Allah tayyib wa la yaqbalu illa tayyib. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pure and only accepts that which is pure. Even the Quraysh, when they rebuilt the Kaaba, they were involved in usury and interest, in riba, but they even collected the pure wealth that they had and said, don't bring any of that wealth which is involved in haram to reconstruct the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is these people of mushrikeen. These are the Quraysh. And yet look at our people. We establish our masjids upon money which is taken from the banks, loans which are taken from these people. وَأَنَّ الْمَسَاجِدَ لِلَّهِ فَلَا تَدْعُوا مَعَ اللَّهِ أَحَدًا. The houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should be called only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing else. No taking wealth from the disbelievers and establishing your mosque. La masjidun ussisa ala taqwa. The masjid which is established upon taqwa has more right to be prayed inside. The masjid which has been borrowed money from the government and from other people to establish it. So this is something that people need to bear in mind, that the masjid should come from the wealth, the pure wealth of the Muslims that live in that area, for it to be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why we find that the believer, that when he meets Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya ayyatuha an-nafsul mutma'inna, irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyya, fadkhuli fi ibadi wadkhuli jannati. That is the soul which is at rest. An-nafsul mutma'inna. It will return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then it will be said to it, fadkhuli fi ibadi wadkhuli jannati. Enter amongst my servants and enter into my paradise. That is the soul that all of us are trying to seek. The soul which gets close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that eventually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to it, enter into paradise and enter amongst my friends. And that's why we find that even the hardship that we have gone through, that once when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dips this kafir, this disbeliever, everything has been given to him in this dunya, and dipped once into the hellfire, and it will be asked that, did you join anything in this dunya? And هل رأيت خيرا قط? Did you ever see anything good in this dunya? هل مر بك نعيم قط? Did you ever find any of the bounties in this dunya? And he will say no. After being given everything in this dunya, this disbeliever, one dip in the hellfire will make him forget everything. Forget all of the 50 or 60 years or 70 or 80 years of giving everything of this dunya has been given to him. He will forget all of that. And as for the believer, throughout his life may be persecuted for his belief, for his iman, may have no wealth, may have nothing, no status in society or nothing at all, will be dipped once into Jannah. Once into Jannah. And he will be asked, هل رأيت بؤسا قط? Did you ever see any calamity? هل مر بك شدة قط? Did any hardship come upon you? And he will say no. 60, 70 years of your life, nothing has been given to him. But just one dip into Jannah will make him forget about all of the hardship that happened to him in this dunya. And that's why we find that many Muslims believe that Jannah is something very cheap. Just by mentioning a few words, you'll make it to Jannah. أَلَا إِنَّ سِلْعَةَ اللَّهِ غَالِيَةٌ أَلَا إِنَّ سِلْعَةَ اللَّهِ فِيَ الْجَنَّةِ. The commodity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very expensive. And that commodity, that price tag, is paradise. You have to strive your utmost best to make it there. Forever striving to get there, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless you with that. وَمَنْ أَرَادَ الْآخِرَةَ وَسَعَى لَهَا سَعْيَهَا وَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ فَأُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ سَعْيُهُ مَشْكُورًا. Whoever strives for the hereafter, strives to the utmost best, they are the ones that will be rewarded. وَكَانَ سَعْيُهُمْ مَشْكُورًا. And their striving and their struggling is one that will be rewarded, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward them for that. And that's why we find that this Jannah, حُفَّتِ الْجَنَّةُ بِالْمَكَارِحِ وَحُفَّتِ النَّارُ بِالشَّهَوَاتِ. That paradise has been covered with obstacles, and hellfire has been covered with shahawat, with false desires. That everything around us, it seems good, it allures people to come towards it, but it is all going towards the hellfire. And as for going towards Jannah, it's something difficult. And if you read this hadith, the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it difficult, because Jibreel alayhi salam said that whoever sees paradise will want to go inside paradise, and whoever sees the hellfire will never ever want to go into the hellfire. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that cover it up. And what is difficulty? Difficulty in practicing of your deen. Difficulty in praying, maybe to wake up in the morning to pray in the evening. Difficulty of giving your wealth in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Difficulty in having sabr upon certain things that may come upon you. Difficulty in controlling your anger, as Imam An-Nawawi explains this hadith of Sharh of Sahih Muslim. That is the difficulty that person may find. And as for Jahannam being covered with shahawat, and it's clearly visible that the whole haram around us, just one small slip could take you into the hellfire. And that's why we find in one hadith that you are as close to Jannah as you are to your shoelace, and you are as close to hellfire as your other foot and your other shoelace. That is how close each and every single one of us is to Jannah and to the hellfire. It is only your own a'mal, your own actions, that will lead you to either go to paradise or to go into the hellfire. And we find concept of actions doesn't necessarily mean that you will make it to paradise. You just have to keep on trying and hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept your actions. This is the way of the believer. As for those people who believe that faith is only love, or they believe that faith is only hope, then this is incorrect.